There are some hidden data within the inflation release from the federal government that gives some indications about what might be happening with real estate and what's going to be happening with real estate. A lot of times people look at real estate affecting inflation, but let's take a look at the data in reverse and see how that affects people's opinion and outlooks on what's going to happen with real estate. Here's an article from the Wall Street Journal that says that housing could provide fuel for inflation. But let's look at it backwards. It says that climbing housing costs are set to keep inflation elevated, which is a challenge. Some rents have been up 15-20%, real estate prices up 15-20%. And what's important is that housing inflation represents about 2/5 or 40% of the core consumer price index and 1/6 of the preferred inflation gauge, meaning that it's skewed towards the CPI, not towards the inflation gauge. Rent inflation is part of that. Because of the way the Labor Department captures rental prices, rent inflation could continue to rise and peak at about 6% over the next several months. That would be a 36-year high. Never been higher than that for rental inflation. What about purchases? Well, prices were up 20% on home purchase prices. Government agencies don't take home prices directly into account when calculating inflation because they consider it a long-term investment. But think about it. Between a home price being up 20% and mortgage rates going from 3 to 6, that's going to be an inflationary factor in most household budgets. And here's the key right here. Demand for rental housing could continue to rise. Rent-based components in inflation are likely to prove relatively impervious to the tightening of financial conditions. What does that mean? Let's translate that from economic talk to plain English. What that means is that rents are still going to stay high. And all they're going to do with raising interest rates isn't going to change rents. In fact, raising interest rates might have the inverse result of rents, because if you're a rental property owner and you're buying a property with a higher interest rate, you have to charge more rent to pay for that interest. Even if you're not buying a property, you already own a property. Looking at return rates, ROI, on your investment, it's going to have a different expectation if interest rates go up. Look, if you can get 5 or 6% in a CD or money market because the interest rates are higher, you might want to get a higher return on your real estate, which has a higher risk and higher liabilities. So the Federal Reserve jacking up rates might actually make rental prices go up. It might have a slight downward pressure on some other items, but it's going to make inflation go higher. It might have the backwards effect of what they're trying to do. The demand is still high. There's a company which owns 58,000 single-family homes for rent, and they received record inquiries for new leases in May. So the price point of new homes going up and the interest rates are maybe keeping some people out of the purchase market and keeping them in rental. The demand backdrop is fantastic, their CEO said. How can they afford it? Well, according to apartment owners, their tenants are able to tolerate rising rents because incomes are growing solidly. Most customers have money in their pocket. This is the elephant in the room. This is what's keeping home prices up. People have money. When they don't have money, that's when there's going to be a problem. When jobs start to fail, when savings are depleted, when incomes start to go down, company revenues go down, that will be the canary in the coal mine when house prices and rental prices start to reduce. There's another hidden factor. This big rental company said back, 20 years ago, 25% of their tenants moved out to buy a house instead of renting. Now, it's more closer to 10%. It's like 15%. And that's even going lower because mortgage rates are going up. People are staying in rentals longer because they either can't or don't want to buy. And that's forcing a higher rate of rental increases on tenants across the board. Low, workforce housing, market rate housing, luxury housing, all the rents are going up. Even mobile home parks, we're seeing rents skyrocketing. Some people their lot rent is doubling on a mobile home park from 400 or 500 up to close to 1,000, and that's causing a huge domino effect in the housing market. What are you seeing in your area, and what are your plans for your residency? Are you continuing to rent, or do you think it's now's the time to buy a house?